let's say I had all the money in the world, what would I do? And what would I do if I had no money in the world? What would I do? And the happy medium was artwork. Do it every day. And another thing is don't stop. Redfish, they're so diverse. Like whatever they do, they're found all sorts of different places. And as soon as you think they're easy, they get a little difficult. It seems like with redfish especially, well, maybe all fish, but like the way I approach it is I have like key concepts that I know like where and what the fish are and what they do, but to actually put a location to that and the time, it's all about those puzzle pieces. That's what really makes it fun. That's what makes anything fun. So just don't make anyone mad or do anything that Dylan Dillard would do.
All right, guys, welcome to another edition of the Skiff Wanderer Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Jay Talbot, a.k.a. Jaybo Art. If you're looking for him on Instagram, we are sitting in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, in Rivers and Glen Fly Shop and Hunting Shop. They got some really nice guns in here. Yeah. I did not want to walk into the shotgun room because I was like, no, I'm going to want to spend money in there.
Way too nice, yeah. I'm afraid to like bump this table behind me.
So quick shout out to those guys. Thank you for letting us crash into the fly shop today and record a podcast, especially Owen and Luke for helping us get set up and make everything happen. So Jay, first question, where'd you grow up? When did you start hunting, fishing, all that fun stuff?
So I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah, I know. What a small world that is. I got started with fishing when just about the time I got my driver's license. Mm-hmm. It's like I really want to try this out and see what So we just started hitting bass ponds everywhere. Me and my buddy.
Where? Okay, if you're not familiar with Columbia, I'm gonna dive into Columbia real quick. What part of Columbia were you guys bass fishing?
If you know what Arcadia Lakes are.
Yeah.
The Arcadia
Lakes. Oh my goodness, I probably was fighting you for bass spots and not even realizing it. Yeah, so that's like right behind where I went to high school.
Yeah, exactly.
So we used to sneak out, or not sneak out, we had permission to go off campus for lunch, and we used to go hit all those bass ponds in the middle of lunch break.
Yeah, exactly. And then also we used to fish a pond in Kings Grant.
You lucky duck, you got in there.
Yeah, a bunch of buddies were in there, and I don't know if I am or not, but I felt like I was part of the first wave of like fishermen to hit up these little ponds. And there's this one, like at the time it was probably like a 3.5 or 4 pound bass.
Yeah.
And we kept on catching it over and over again. And years later I see on Instagram, like if something pops up, it's like, man, those kids are still catching that fish.
Yeah, so Kings Grant 4 pound bass, he's still there, still reigning champ.
I know.
Dude, that's too funny. When were you fly fishing at all back then?
No. The way I got into fly fishing was a buddy from high school moved down to Charleston, and he started saltwater fly fishing, and I had never heard of it before then, and he was posting a lot of pictures on Instagram, and so I wanted to try that, and I got out there with him, and I got really lucky on my first time out and caught one on the fly. And then after that, it was probably 10 or 12 trips before I caught another one on fly. But, I mean, that was enough to get hooked. And that kind of segues right into my art career, actually, because I did that going into my last semester of college. I had to figure out what minor I was going to minor in order to graduate on time.
Yeah.
Any other minor at all, I would have postponed my graduation another semester. The only one that I could do it in one semester was art studio. And so I had just caught my first redfish on fly during that Christmas break before that last semester. And so all I could draw in my art class was like fly fishing stuff. So And I just started posting that to Instagram, and that's how it all started.
What, like when you started doing that, did you think like you'd end up doing it as a career? Or was it just it was just to get through college?
It was it was a big, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like I had one buddy from the other high school I went to. I went to AC Flora for 2 years and then Hammond for 2 years. So buddy from the other high school I went to, he moved to New York City and he made it as an artist. And that's how I was like, man, maybe you can make it as an artist. Like this Instagram thing, he's got it going on and he's, living in Manhattan. I was like, yeah, let's see how this goes. And but I didn't, at that time I had no idea I would be full-time as an artist, because I was going in that last semester, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I ended up getting a mortgage job out of college.
Yeah.
So, and then 6 months into that, I was taking more phone calls about doing artwork than actual mortgages. So it's funny how it works out.
So here you are.
Yep.
What I mean, I know that you just said, that first redfish and fly fishing was a big part of your first inspiration into your artwork. What are some of the other things that have kind of inspired you? Because I mean, you've got a very, I think, unique style. Like I can pick it out pretty quickly. Like, oh, I know that's Jaybo.
Right.
When I see it.
Right. I guess over the years it's kind of changed to maybe that social aspect of fishing and fly fishing, where hilarious things happen, and we're not perfect at all, especially out on the water, and so many bad things, or like Murphy Law type things, can happen out there. So that's just perfect content and inspiration for funny illustrations.
Yeah. What have you always had like the way you draw or draw, right? Paint? I got yelled at by Estrada for saying the wrong thing the other day.
Yeah.
Have you always like done kind of the style that illustration style, or like have you dabbled in other forms?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, because I think one way that I'm different than a lot of other successful artists is I'm constantly experimenting with my styles, and I think it's really boring. No offense to other great artists who have been more successful than I have with one style, but I like to experiment, and I think that's a lot more exciting. So it's changed a lot. I'm taking like a 6-week hiatus from social media right now, and I'm using this time to like experiment more and trying to get back into the artwork.
Yeah. What like, is there anything that you think you might like start leaning a little bit more towards?
Well, kind of like, I think I'm going to experiment a lot with a little bit more abstract style and just see where that goes. But I mean, there's no real plan. It's just kind of like,
just see what happens day to day. That makes sense. I understand that. It seems like every time that I get into like a set routine with filming or even photography, like I can watch like the quality kind of take a dip, and then I'll be like, then it's like, all right, let me reset. I'll go watch some like tutorials or something, or watch something that's completely not related to fishing, and I'll be like, I gotta get this new vigor for it, this new like, oh man, I gotta go out and try this now, so I can turn this into fishing, if it'll translate into fishing. Is there like any outdoor activities outside of fishing that you like draw inspiration from, or like any like artwork outside of like fishing related art?
I really don't do much artwork outside of that, but
is there like anything, like any artist or anything that like you kind of like watch because you like their style and see if it can translate?
One artist right now, because you just think of like, how did he do what he did and why is he great, is Picasso. Yeah. So I get a lot of inspiration from Picasso right now, and I didn't realize until I'll watch a little documentary on him, that his like childlike abstract faces that he draws is actually like pretty complex. It's he's drawing almost 3D but in 2D, so it's like the face from this angle, and this angle, all in one shot, or one piece of artwork, and I was like, never would have thought that. So, and I'm like, I mean, because you look at it and you're like, oh, that looks like crap, but he's one of the most, influential painters ever, basically. Like, everyone knows that Picasso. It's like, how did that happen?
How long have you been full-time doing artwork?
I think this is around 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember if it's 9 or 10 years, but so I graduated in 2014, and then 6 months after that, I started full-time, like just jumped off the diving board into full-time. So
What is there any advice that you like, if you could go back, you'd give yourself right when you're getting started?
I think if I was as logical as I am now, I would have never started, to be honest. That's very true.
Because you did that kind of, I'm still young and I can make dumb decisions that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd tell you the exact thing that I said to myself when I got started, because, there's no money in the art when I got started. I was like, I told myself, well, let's say I had all the money in the world, what would I do? And what would I do if I had no money in the world? What would I do? And the happy medium was artwork. So I was like, well, I guess if I was rich enough, I would just be doing art anyways. I'm poor enough, so I'm going to do artwork.
That's what, like when I made the decision to quit and start doing this full time, it was kind of the same conversation of like, man, if I had like unlimited funds, I could do anything in the world. Like, would I still want to do this? And I was like, yeah, that's what I
yeah.
Even if I didn't have to, like, even if I wasn't doing this for a living, I'd probably still be out here like podcasting and filming and just fishing as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way to gauge like what you really want to do. So
yeah. What kind of advice would you give like somebody that is like thinking about a career in the arts, whether, even if it's not, painting or drawing, like just anything, like, is there any advice you can give somebody like that that's thinking about it?
Generically, I guess a couple things is, one is, do it every day. And another thing is don't stop. I'll talk to somebody about, doing photo or film stuff, and they'll ask for advice, and I'm like, carry your camera with you everywhere. Yeah.
And it's something that like now that I've gotten now that I've gotten to a point where I am filming and doing photo stuff, like I wish I would go back to this, but I used to live, like my Sony camera used to live in the center console of my truck, and no matter what I was doing, like I'd pull it out and carry it with me. And I wish I need to go back to doing that because I miss it.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter if we were going to go have drinks at a bar or we were going to watch, sit on the beach for a little bit. Like I'd pull the camera out and take a couple photos.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, like, I think if you're getting into it and you're trying to figure out, you want to learn, like it goes back to that kind of 10,000 hour rule. And like, that's the best way to just start booking hours on anything.
It's insane. Like how good you get just by doing it. And I can tell a difference when I don't do it as much too with my skill too. So
yeah, because it's like what is it? It's not like riding a bike. Like like if you don't do it for a while, like you start to lose some of the skill set to it. And
it's really true for at least art and illustration. It really is. You get rusty.
Yeah. I like when I was shipping out, like I might not film something. I take photos down south, but I might not film something for 3 months, and I'd come back and I'd have a shoot, 3 days after I get home, and it's like the first hour and a half on the boat, I'm like, what was the settings I was supposed to use for this again?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's talk a little bit fishing. Let's get into fishing a little bit. Outside of redfish, what kind of species have you really targeted?
Redfish is my main one, but I've definitely been on a few tarpon trips down south, and about once or twice a year for a while we've been trying to find them around Charleston and the Low Country. So that's actually how I got to know Owen so well is because we went on a couple tarpon trips down south with some guides. He catches a lot of tarpon.
He does.
I don't.
My biggest tarpon right now is 12 inches. So that's some work to do in the tarpon department.
Yeah, exactly.
Florida and I do not get along at all. Have you done any like trout stuff?
A little bit.
A little bit.
My buddies make fun of me when I go trout fishing because I want to strip set so much, and yeah, so it's like backwards for me.
Man, you got, well, I'm not gonna say it's a great, but right by where you're living, we used to go. We had a late start. Man, this is gonna sound like I just skipped school and went fishing all the time. So we had late start my senior year. So we would every now and then, because it was a bit of a drive, we'd go over to the Saluda, and we catch rainbows in there. And somebody I think was telling me there's browns in there now, and it's just like,
yeah, dude, beautiful browns too. Yeah.
One day I'm going to come back to Columbia and I'm going to go up there and relive the glory days. I probably, you know what I was thinking? I was looking at it when we were talking about getting together. I was like, I wonder if I can still access the river from where I used to, or if somebody's put a fence up.
Oh,
we used to, like, there's a boat ramp down there, and I'm pretty sure we were trespassing, but there used to be a little walking trail that would go right along the river, and you could get pretty far up close to the dam. And pretty sure you're going through a couple properties to do
sure.
it.
Yeah. But that area, especially where the rivers come together in downtown Columbia, I don't want to like spoil the fishery or anything, but it is the only place that I know where you can catch smallmouth, striper, trout, and also see a 9-foot alligator in the same hole. I mean, I can't think of anywhere else. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
And all of that has happened in the exact same hole.
Goodness, that would be hilarious. Like to be sitting there catching like a rainbow or a brown trout, having to worry about an alligator come out and grab you.
It's insane. And me and a couple of buddies, we used to wait around in this area, and the alligators, they move up and down the river. I don't know if that's seasonal or territorial, probably a little bit of both. But we were waiting around, and I'd come around one rock, and probably 20 feet away, there is a 9-foot alligator right there. And I was like, I did not sign up for this. I'm waist deep water. And I go back to tell my buddy, I won't say who it is, but he's in the industry. And he's like, so? He's like, yeah. It did not faze him at all. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, we used to kayak that a lot. Now it's kind of like just how many we paddled over.
Yeah,
because I never saw them in there. Good night. I'm glad I did. It might have been too cold, way up by like riverbanks and stuff. The water's too cold for them up there.
Yeah, I don't think they get up quite that far.
Oh, that's good to know.
But where the canal is, they get a few times a year. They'll get all in the canal.
I know I'm jumping around a lot. This isn't flowing. This is all right.
I mean, that's how I roll, so it's all good.
All right, so we're going to jump back to art a little bit. So I think it's hilarious, you do a series, Dylan Dilbert. Like, like how'd that come about? Is it like, because isn't there like a Dilbert cartoon?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll let you tell it.
So, yeah. Well, there just happens to be a Dilbert cartoon, but the name that came up with this had nothing to do with that cartoon. I hope my buddy doesn't watch this, but we have one buddy in our friend group from like high school and college, and we used to call him Dilbert. And like, especially if he did something that was funny or something, we'd call him Dilbert. And so Dylan Dilbert is just, people who are messing up and making mistakes and doing funny stuff. And so I forget how I started it as like a comic almost. I forget. I think I did one thing, one illustration of it, and I came up with the name Dylan Dilbert based on that. And I posted it one time, and everyone liked it so much, so I did another one, and then it was catching on. So I was like, man, I need to probably get an Instagram tag with that before someone steals it. So,
How much of those are based in, like, how much of those cartoons are, like, based in true stories?
Like every single one of them, just about, unless it's making fun of a trend. Like, you remember the crate trend where you stack them and then you try to get to the top and fall off, or I don't know what it was, but it was a trend for a couple weeks, and I did one on that, and so that was just based on a trend that was going around. But most of them.
What are some of the, like, best stories that have turned into Dylan Dilbert?
I would have to bring up Dylan Dilbert to see which one, and then I could probably tell it off of that.
Stand by. Oh my God, there's a boat on fire. First one I looked at is a boat on fire.
Oh, that was not a real event. That was when, yeah, okay. There's one with them basically smoking doobies, and all of the smoke is coming from it, from the skiff, and that was based on all the Canadian wildfires that was covering the southeast in smoke, and I made a funny comic just saying, well, that's Dylan Dilbert, actually. There's one right here that's it's kind of like a GIF type post of the guy spilling coffee on the person driving. I did that on a tarpon trip with Captain Legucky, and I had an entire Yeti about this size full of coffee, and I spilt it on the way out, and I was looking like a rookie.
Did you actually get him with the coffee or just go on the boat?
It just went all in the boat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but that's how stuff like that's inspired. And I mean, just the typical ones like where you get stuck high and dry and all this stuff that almost happened in someone else's boat I was borrowing. So
that's like a rite of passage, though.
Oh yeah,
it's yeah. I think I started saying, like, there's two types of people. There's those that have been high and dry in the marsh, and then there's liars.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, yeah,
rite of
like,
passage.
I mean, I can tell you, like, we were in high school, we were messing around with a john boat on a flood tide, and next thing we know, like, we're pulling a john boat. Next thing we know, like, we can't pull the john boat anymore, and we're looking around like, what the heck is going on? And being dumb kids from the middle of the state that don't pay attention to the tides, next thing, all three of us are out back trying to push this thing off the flat as fast. I mean, like, you can see the water rushing off the mud, and we're just trying to push it as fast as we can.
Yep.
Just to get off the flat.
So many times that has happened. So yeah, exactly.
Have you spent 8 hours out there waiting for the tide to come in?
I haven't gotten that stuck.
I
haven't done that. So
no, and then I got a boat stuck in a low tide in Louisiana for 2 hours.
A low tide's good for that, though.
Yeah. Yeah, we got lucky, and luckily the tide was already on the way up when we were running in, and we were only stuck for 2 hours, which is good because we didn't have enough beer to be stuck for any longer than that.
Yeah.
And then what was really great is, so we get unstuck, and have you fished Louisiana?
No.
Super soft mud. So, like, as soon as you get a little bit of water and you can get a little buoyancy on the boat, like, you can normally push a boat around. Oh God, I almost got a boat stuck 2 weeks ago. And then, so we get the boat unstuck, we pull about 50 feet, and we hook into a redfish. I was like, see, we just needed to wait for the fish to come in. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
We just beat them up the creek. No, yeah, like 2 weeks ago, I almost got a boat stuck on a flat in Louisiana, and I ended up having to get out of the boat to push it, and I immediately sank past my knees in mud. And if I let go of that boat, like, that was it. I was stuck there too.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the first Dylan Dilberts that I drew, it was them where they're like drinking Natty Light because they're stuck up high on some mud. And I try to make it where like you could tell that they try to push it out exactly from a situation like that. Just relatable art there.
Yeah. No, it always is. Like, all the stuff I've seen you do, I'm like, oh, yep, done that. Oh, yep, know somebody that's done that.
Yeah, exactly.
You've done redfish, you've done tarpon. Like, is there anything, like, you're dying to do fishing wise?
One thing I haven't done in a while is run and gun for false albacore.
Yeah.
I love doing that, and I know up northeast area, you do that with striper too.
Mm-hmm.
So striper and albies. I would love to do some of that, especially up there.
It's a lot of casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do it last year, and that's the first time I got up, like the next day I've woken up and I'm like, oh my God, my shoulder's done.
Yeah.
And we got real lucky and got into them really good. I finally hooked one after like 5 hours of blind casting. Finally hooked one.
Dang.
And he was running at the boat when he hit the fly, and then took off past the boat, and so I couldn't get a real good hook set into him. And then we ran him down too fast, so he got slack back in the line, and we didn't get to land that one. But dude, if you get a chance, it is.
Yeah.
I've never hooked a fish that takes off like that. I mean,
Right.
before we had the line, it felt like before, like, no, not before, but as soon as we had the line cleared from the boat, he was in the backing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just looking at the rod going like, I don't know if this thing's going to stop before he spools me out.
Yeah. Yeah. I was able to hook one about 6 years ago when I was able to do it kind of often off the coast here.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe I just think it's way different up north. So
It's cool, like when you get into them, like watching, like just the whole surface of the ocean erupts, and
so awesome.
they go insane. We tried when I was on that trip. We tried to get a striper on fly, and it was too rough to get the boat within a fly cast distance of like the structures we were trying to fish.
Okay. Yeah.
And we tried the bait and switch a couple times and could not get a fly in front of them the right way. Yeah, so trust me, I'm dying to go back up there. So if you find yourself putting a trip together, let me know.
Yeah. I'll let you
there.
know, man. We can make that work for sure.
Is there anything like have you thought about going out west at all? No, salt water all the way.
I mean, the only thing I'd really want to do out west is maybe like hunt elk or something.
Yeah.
But I'm so far away from doing that. So, but the trout doesn't really do it for me. Other than like the scenery is absolutely beautiful.
I'll tell you, like, I went into it kind of like, my buddies do it, so I'll go with them. And I left like, okay, I can come do this because. To me, like, you look at like the size of those fish and everybody's like, oh, they're 20-inch fish. Like, I don't want to catch a 20-inch fish, but you get a 20-inch fish on a 4-weight and move in water, and it's like, how do I get this thing to me?
Yeah,
because you go try to take a step towards a fish, and rocks are slippery, everything's moving, like your foot doesn't want to land in front of you, it wants to go downriver.
Yeah,
like I would recommend like anybody that gets the opportunity, like, go try it. Especially if you can get yourself into like a good place to go do it where there's some trophy fish or good sized fish, because it is nothing like trying to compare it to saltwater fishing, like, doesn't do it any kind of justice.
Right. But it still can be sporty and fun and beautiful, and especially
like if you get into like red fishing where you're like, you're watching the tides, you're looking at where the fish are. Like if you like to break down the puzzle pieces into catching a redfish.
Yeah, that's why I do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you'll have a fun time out there because it's the similarities, because at the end of the day it's a fish, So
right.
A fish is a fish, and at the end of the day, like, you're like, oh, that's what a redfish should do. This is what the trout does. Okay, what else can I? What else? Like when I'm looking at this river, can I compare what I've done in the past? Yeah,
it's all about those puzzle pieces. That's what really makes it fun. That's what makes anything fun. So
yeah, no, I mean for me that's what's like it.
I'm sure.
I love going and chasing other species, but like every time I feel like I have a good handle on redfish, I'm like, I'll have a day where it's just like, all right, well, clearly everything I know is still not enough, and that's why I'm like, well, I don't have time to go tarpon fishing because I still got to figure this redfish thing out.
It's insane. Redfish, they're so diverse. Like whatever they do, they're found all sorts of different places, and as soon as you think they're easy, they get a little difficult. So I feel like they're just easy enough on the fly, but also hard enough, and It's very diverse. They're incredible, even though they seem kind of dull.
Yeah, I gotta get you out to Texas, because it's the redfish in Texas compared to here, like they're so spooky. And like,
Really?
yeah, like you've got when you see that fish and you start thinking about it, it's too late sometimes. Like you just like, I don't know what they got going on, but you start thinking about them, they're like, no, I'm not gonna be here anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's cool. Like, I've been fortunate and been able to fish for redfish basically almost all the states on the Gulf Coast, and then a lot of the East Coast states. And like, if you want dumb ones, go to Louisiana.
Like everyone says, right? Yep.
If you want, not dumb ones, if you like South Carolina, like, I feel like red fishing in South Carolina has got to be the most relaxing place you can go fish for them.
Yeah,
because
I could see that.
Because like, you have to have the tide. So like my buddy that I fish with here the most, like we'll fish a low tide, pull the boat out, go to lunch, relax, wait for the tide, come back, go out, fish the high tide.
Yeah.
Like
We have long tides, man. Big tides, so
it's fantastic. And then like, the fish, because they're not really like slack tide, they'll kind of shut off.
Yep.
And then that mid tide, it's a little tough for them to really eat. Like, they're probably eating somewhere, but it's a little tougher for them than at the extremes, highs and lows. So as soon as the tide gets right, like, they're eating.
Right.
Like, they've been waiting for that all day.
They're eating somewhere. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's like I was telling you earlier, like I just want to come here for 3 months and just fish. God, you could fish someplace different every day. And
Oh, and you can. There's endless spots here. And recently I found out just how hard it is to like low tide creek fishing. It takes so much time to, like, if you're at a new place, which I was fishing, and you have to basically like just gamble on the creek, and you go way up this creek that looks good, and there could be one fish or no fish or something like that, and it's like, man, we could have gone up 15-20 different creeks and spent a few hours in each one. So it's just so much that you could
no,
discover.
and I that's one of the things that I always gotta hand it to the guys that are fishing the low country and like can do it consistently, because you've got anywhere from like a 2 to 4 hour window, which means like in a lot of those creeks they're not next to each other.
Right.
So you pick the wrong creek twice, that's your whole tide.
Oh yeah, yeah. So many trips you don't even see a fish, just especially if you're exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and if you're exploring, just because they weren't there that one time doesn't mean the next tide cycle they're not. They might be in there.
That's so true. What if you just chose wrong that day and you think you have the puzzle piece and you go check the one beside it, but they just switched? Yeah, I mean, that could totally happen.
A buddy and I did a road trip where we fished a bunch of the Gulf Coast states. And one of the things that I think helped us was not having to deal with that tidal range, so we could roll into some area and the tide wasn't going to really change that much, so you could spend a bunch of time there and get a feel for it. And like my buddy Austin and I, we went to Georgia and we had 2 days. We had bad weather, but we also had 2 days, and because of that, where you got 2 days, you're trying to fish someplace you've never fished,
right?
You got an 8-foot tide on top of it. Like,
yep.
We couldn't find them, and I don't know how long it would have taken us to find them.
It seems like with redfish especially, well, maybe all fish, but like the way I approach it is I have like key concepts that I know, like where and what the fish are and what they do, but to actually put a location to that and the time.
Oh yeah, it's like I've started fishing over here enough that like I can look at a satellite image and pick out flood tide spots. And last week I went and fished a spot that's always done really well for me on a flood and didn't see a thing. And I was like, I've got like I've got my sister's father-in-law with me. He's never even seen a redfish, and I'm like, crap. Like,
Yeah.
do I have, and the other, we didn't leave the boat ramp till the tide was already starting to go out. So I was like, I don't know if we have time to get it. Like I thought we were about to spend 8 hours on a flat.
Oh yeah, that's what you always talk about. Like at least we didn't get stuck during a high tide or a flood tide.
Yeah, that's what I told him when I was pulling off, and like we still had some good water, and I'm like,
Not much.
trust me, man, we don't want to be here too long on accident.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's so heartbreaking when you come up on a flat that looks absolutely perfect for a flood tide, and everything looks perfect, and you don't see a single tail or redfish or anything. So disheartening.
Yeah, especially if you got to move. Like if you gambled everything on this one spot,
Yeah.
and you got to make a big move, and you're like, wow, this is gonna suck.
Yeah. Or if it's like a huge flat, you just keep on thinking, maybe if I just pull a little further, and then you spend your whole time there. Yeah.
What so you've been chasing redfish for a while. Like what kind of things low tide wise? So we're about to go do a little bit of low tide fishing here. Like what kind of things for the low tide? What are you looking for when you're picking out spots to low tide fish the low country?
I mean, right now, the couple concepts that I'm just going off of is, looking for huge flats, huge mud flats that could probably hold schools of fish, especially this time of year when it's cooler. So I think that's the game plan. It's just
Big mud flats.
Pull across some big mud flats and yeah, I mean, of course I have some spots in mind already, but I have a theory in Charleston and maybe a lot of the low country that, I mean, you just have to pull far enough and you'll run into fish. I mean, there's a lot of redfish in the low country.
That's that advice that just keep pulling far enough. That's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like just pull and keep pulling and keep pulling. Like if you're new to saltwater fly fishing, because I think it kind of applies to just in general saltwater.
Yeah.
If you're new to it, like realize that you are going to spend a lot of time pulling bad water.
Yeah.
And it's going to take you, depending on how much you can go, it's going to take you 6 months to a year. And you're finally going to pull enough bad water that you're going to like get to a point where you can roll up on a spot, pull it for 5 minutes, and go, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But you just got to like catalog all those bad, like rough experiences.
I mean, it sounds exactly like our careers or whatever, where you just have to put in the hours, especially if you're figuring out a place on your own, right?
Yeah, that's what I always, you'll hear guys that are like, I'll talk to somebody, I've been fly fishing for 10 years or 20 years or whatever. And it's like, are you going once a year? Are you doing it every day? So like, I mean, like that's one of the things that like expedited my fly fishing is, I was able to come home and go 4 days a week. So,
oh man, that's awesome.
Like,
yeah,
pack a lot into it. And it's, like you said, like it's hours, not days. And
yeah,
it's hours, not years.
And I'll admit, like I got really lucky for being able to fish with so many guides. So, I was able to probably expedite a lot of the process, just based on the years and work that they put in, and me just being lucky enough to get the invite pretty often.
And it's cool. Like, so I've been able to do a couple film projects with some of the guides that fish a lot of the same areas that I do. It's really cool to go out with them and look at it, like see their approach.
Yeah.
And like, I think the last time I went out, like they were showing me some stuff, and it's like in an area that I fish like regularly, and they're showing me stuff in that area, and not like spots, but like things to look for to find fish. And I'm like, do you know how many times I've driven past that and just been like, oh, I don't need to fish that?
Isn't that crazy?
It's holding fish. I'm like, come on, man.
Seriously though.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, if you can go out and do it on your own, you need to go out and do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, if you're doing it enough, you're gonna make friends with guides. Like, if you're out there enough, like, you're gonna run into them, and everyone's always looking for more people to fish with.
Yeah, just don't make anyone mad or do anything that Dylan Dilbert would do, basically.
Yeah, if you're new, go check out Dylan Dilbert, and it's a hit list of what not to do on the water.
Seriously, though. Yeah.
No, and if you can fish with guides, like, whenever I get a chance, like, I just, like, there's, like, a list of questions I run through of, like, why are we doing this? What are we doing? Like, you know, and it's never, like, what is this spot called that we're at? It's always, like, why are we here? What are you looking for? Like, what kind of bait comes in? Like, what, you know, like, it's all, like, the questions you need. If you ask the right questions, like, you know, obviously you're with a guide, and especially like inshore fishing, like, you can pick out landmarks, figure out where you're at, but, like, if you ask the right questions, you're gonna end up understanding the entire area that you're at, to where like you can go in there on your own and, like, find more spots based off of it.
And that captain, is it Mangum? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Mangum, Dave Mangum.
He has a quote that he says, he's like, you might know my spot, but I have the intellectual property of how to fish that spot, which is probably true.
Yeah, which is, and that's, like, that's the stuff you got to get out of those guys.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a good friend that I've fished with, and, like, we kind of learned the Corpus area a lot together. And he won't volunteer information, but I know how to ask the right questions.
Right.
And I'll, like, oh, okay, now I know what to do. Now I know what I'm doing. Like, you know, if I'm messing something up, I'll ask enough of the right questions to finally get him to, like, tell me what I'm doing. Like, because I, like, one day I gave him a situation. I was like, dude, what the heck did I do wrong? He's like, I don't know. And then I just start, like, asking a bunch of follow-up questions, and I'm finally like, okay, so now I know what I did wrong.
Oh, man. Yeah, and it's funny. I'll give a little story, an example of, like, kind of, like, trusting your guide, especially if they're out there 8 hours every single day, and you think you're doing what they're telling you. Mm-hmm. And then, so I was fishing with Brett Martina and Owen from here, and we were down there fishing, and he kept on telling us to do certain things and work certain angles on these tarpon and whatnot. And I got to a point, because I got real frustrated for probably missing and, I don't know, just doing a horrible job as a tarpon fisherman. And I was like, how about you come down here and do it? Oh, God. Don't do that. Don't do that, because they really know what they're talking about and doing. I did this 2 times over the trip.
Yeah.
Both times, one cast, nailed tarpon. Both times. It wasn't just a fluke. And here we are fishing for 3 days, and I did not catch a tarpon, even though I had hundreds of opportunities. It's insane. So, yeah, there's something to learn from these guys who are out there 8 hours a day plus.
I mean, that's one of the reasons. I mean, you know, I get asked every now and then if I guide. One of the reasons that I don't guide is, like, I haven't figured out how to explain it well enough to somebody on the bow of the boat.
That's fair.
Because, like, I've brought people, you know, I've fished with people that aren't from Texas. I fished with people that fish redfish in Texas, and trying to explain to them how to fish our fish. And, like, it's like, oh, I can get up there and I can show you, but I don't know how to explain it to you.
Yeah, that's
and, like,
true.
I think that's, like, the best guides. Like, they can sit there and walk you through a fish, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, you know, without having to go up and show you, and I can't figure out how to explain it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
So as you guys, I mean, we're getting into winter. We had, God, you probably had freezing temps this morning when you walked out of your house.
I think it's first time this year, or this fall, yeah.
What, you know, we talked about low tide, fishing mud flats. So, like, what kind of things do we get into winter? You know, these fish are about to start changing up a bunch of their behavioral patterns. Like, what kind of things, like, do you normally see? Or are you looking at these fish starting to do in the next, let's see, it's December. Are we in December? Is it still November?
It's November 29th.
Okay. So as we get into December in the winter, like, what kind of things are you expecting, like, these redfish to start doing?
I mean, I like to keep everything simple.
Yeah.
So I guess I mean, mainly looking for schools is how I would fish it. On the big flats is all I would do.
It's big, good mud flats where you know it's going to get enough sunlight and warm water on it to warm them up.
Yeah, basically. And there is some higher tide fishing, but it's a little different than flood tide fishing. Haven't done that in a long time, but it's kind of like more worth it just for flood or low tide fishing right now. The higher tide stuff is pretty cool though. There's like little holes where you can, sight fish for them still. Yeah. It's kind of neat, but
my wife would kill me, but I'll just spend another month out here and get into the good winter redfish and just try to, because I get into this where I figure out a little bit of the puzzle and I'm like, all right, now I just need to sit here for a year and figure out the whole puzzle.
Right. And man, that makes fishing, that makes art, that makes anything I do worth it, because I kind of just stay and hover in that spot of figuring things out constantly, and it's kind of not even fun if you do come to figure something out.
What kind of because I know I can speak to it from photography, with your art, what kind of
agitation,
I guess problems, what kind of stuff, is there stuff that you get stuck on?
Yeah.
What's kind of the process to work through that stuff?
Oh man. So number one thing is, I do this full time. So I really, in order to continue, now that I have a house and cars and a wife and everything, is to continue making money.
Yeah.
So that's the number one thing to figure out all the time. And seems like Instagram goes against me on that a lot. So one bit of advice would be, don't put all your marketing into one social media, because they can change quick and all that.
Yeah, as soon as you think you got that algorithm figured out, they change it.
Yeah, right. And so that's big. That's probably the main thing I figure out often, is how to keep on reaching people, especially the people who already like my stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, this conversation here could be a 2 or 3 hour conversation, and it'd probably get negative, and I like to try to be positive. So,
let's go with what about somebody they've had some success with their artwork, they're thinking about making a business out of it. What's some advice or some things you wish you had known from the business standpoint? Because I think doing my own business, the amount of stuff that you just don't realize that you need to know about.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you wish you had known about from day one?
I would probably the best feeling about starting your own business is having all your ducks in a row. I mean, this is beginner stuff, but make sure you have your business checking account set up, and then your QuickBooks, and everything syncing right. Don't have it all mixed up and jumbled, and just have all your stuff figured out like that. It's a good feeling when you're organized correctly, and it's real easy to dive into Instagram and start selling artwork and stuff and not have anything together. So
it's I'm laughing over here because that's one of the problems that I had too.
Yeah.
It's you're sitting there and you're all right, I think I got QuickBooks set up, I got everything set up. Wait, I got to change this, and you're just oh my goodness.
I mean, it's crazy. That's a huge part of it, and it's nice to have it all set up, and then you can worry about other stuff.
Because there is if you're gonna start your own business with artwork, or realistically with anything, you got to realize you have to dedicate days to the business.
Right.
Not as much as you love art, or I love editing films or shooting films. You have to look on your calendar and write down today we're doing accounting.
Yeah, those are the facts. You really have to be an entrepreneur first before being an artist. If you want to make it, you can do this as a hobby.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's good. That is something that I wish that somebody had sat me down and been all right, here's what you need to do to set up your business before you start your business.
Right. I think I heard one person say something along the lines as like act like a accountant, like systematically, like with your business, and then be creative.
I've thought about like when I have kids, if I have kids that want to get into the arts when they get older and they're like, Dad, I want to, go to school, and what should I study in college, or what do you think? I'd be like, get an accounting degree. Take art classes while you're there, get an accounting degree so you can run your own business one day.
Right. Yeah, and the college thing. If I would have known what I knew now, I don't think I would have gone to college, honestly. I would have just gone straight into art, but that's probably bad advice for a lot of people, but because you just don't know if it's going to work out or not.
Yeah.
Hindsight, though, I to be honest, I wouldn't have gone to college myself.
I mean, I went to trade school pretty much, and
oh man, I'm a huge advocate of trade schools. I think that's great.
Well, it was for driving ships, which still plays a big part into what I do because I'm on a boat every day.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. It's one of those like, I don't know that I'd be here if I hadn't done it. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
All right, last question. It's the Skiff Wanderer. Last question that I half the time forget to ask. If you found yourself on death row, and instead of a last meal, they're gonna give you one last fishing trip. Where are you going fishing? What are you fishing for?
Oh man, flood tide in Charleston.
That's it. Just back to it.
Man, I mean, that's like the best feeling in the world for me. So yeah.
What month?
I mean, I honestly like spring, late spring, when it's starting to warm up and it's feeling nice and the tails or the redfish are getting happy.
Like those first flood tides in fall when you get that first cool weather coming through, like those are, and you're outside and you're like, oh, I can finally put pants on to go fishing. But like,
yeah,
those first spring days when you are like, I can get outside again, the weather's starting to get nice.
Yeah.
Like those, like, it's like coming out of hibernation and you're like, we're about to start fishing a bunch.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Well, sweet, man. What's your website?
My website is jayboart.com.
Easy. Instagram's the same. Secondary Instagram is Dylan Dilbert. Just Dylan Dilbert. Yeah.
Dylan Dilbert, yeah.
Okay. If you guys want to check it out, I got links down below. Check it out. Give them a follow. Get some merch.
Yeah.
You guys do it. You do everything. You guys. You do everything, right? Stickers, hats.
Yeah, I mean, mainly like paper prints and stickers, but I'll work with this company, Lost Hat, who's doing my hats for me. There's a separate link for that. And then I just try to sell about everything. Yeah.
Do you do commission work?
No.
No. Okay.
I try not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. If you're listening on Spotify, Google, Apple, if you guys can leave a 5-star review, it'd be greatly appreciated. And then if you are watching on YouTube, if you can hit like, hit subscribe, and share this with everyone, that'd be awesome. Thank you guys. Jay, thank you. I think, oh dude, we're like 2 hours ahead of when we were planning on getting on the water.
Not a bad thing. Yeah.
All right, we're going fishing. See you guys later.
See y'all.